Welcome inside the Calgary Olympic Oval, where it's Canada Cup number 2 about set to get underway. How does this one sound?
Oh. Coming up first, we have the men's 500 meter for the Canada Cup number 2. That will be followed by the ladies 500 meter shortly afterwards. Stay tuned throughout the rest of the day for more great action. Men's and ladies 1500 meter Canada Cups coming up this afternoon, followed by the Olympic selection competition, Canadian Championships for the men's 5,000 and ladies 3,000 meters starting at 5 p.m. Mountain Time.
So it looks like we are about set to get underway. We hope you're going to enjoy a nice day's action, everybody. My name is Gavin Day. Alongside me is Leo Landry, former skater himself, now up here with me about to take things in. We've got 34 pairs in the men's 500 meters, about 25 or so in the women's. We'll check through. First one on the track, Nicolas Hillier out of British Columbia on the inner lane, Espen Nordfen of Norway on the outer. About set to go.
And they are off the line in this 500-meter race. 1 1/4 lap around this 400-meter track.
And Hillier coming in with a PB 36.89, Nordfen 36.79. They go through the 100 meters, 10.42 and 10.47. Very close opening start. Now Leo coming down the backstretch. Is there any chance to get a draft in a 500 meters here?
If the skater in the outer lane has a faster opener, they may be able to get a draft. In this case, both skaters were fairly even, so not much of an advantage for either skater.
Coming up at the line, 37.15 for Hillier, Nordfen 37.86, and those are the top 2 times to beat right now. But there are many, many skaters left to come, and we're going to come at you fast and furious here. Coming up on the track next, on the inner, Antoine Roger from Quebec, and Magna Notland on the outer, another Norwegian skater. Of course, Canada, Leo, has the Norway connection now with former national team member Jeremy Weatherspoon coaching the sprinters in Norway. Not any of these skaters, but it's a nice little connection to have.
Absolutely. Jeremy Weatherspoon, the former world record holder in this 500-meter race. As they come through first 100 meters, it is Notland in the outer lane with a 10-2 opener leading the way.
Roger right behind. Looks like it's about a 500th difference as they round the corner. This one's going to be close, making up the stagger. Coming up to the finish, Roger and Notland. This is a very even pair, a little bit wide on the inner lane. But as they come to the line, stretching, and it's Roger who takes it 36.43, Notland 36.6. And those two move atop the leaderboard at the moment.
So 36.43 for Antoine Roger is a personal best, un temps record pour Antoine Roger. Donc c'était sa meilleure course.
Coming up now on the inner lane, Connor Howe out of Alberta, Robert Winter also out of Alberta. Both of them coming in having set new personal bests back in November, so coming in on a good little bit of form. 2 Alberta skaters.
2 young skaters.
Was it Howe's 17 years old, already competing with some top-level talent here. Looks like there is a bit of a delay on the track. While we get things sorted. So you look at this Canada Cup, Leo, and they're different ages, different speeds. Does everyone sort of have a different target coming into an event like this?
Absolutely. These skaters are each chasing their own personal bests, particularly here in Calgary on the fastest ice in the world. But the skaters are also chasing Canada Cup points. They're looking to position themselves within the Canadian rankings and set themselves apart from the pack.
And for a lot of them, have they sort of decided, you see 17-year-olds, 19-year-olds, have they sort of decided by now that I am a sprinter, or do they still sort of run a whole series of events?
So junior skaters, those below 18, 19 years old, will typically race all events, keep their options open, but in the back of their heads and in their coaches' minds, they will be starting to specialize.
Looks like we are now set to go. Howe and Winter, both out of Alberta. Looks like we are away cleanly.
Skaters coming down through 100 meters. It's a tight race.
10.39, 10.34. Winter with just a little bit of an advantage. This one's shaping up. They both two have very close personal best times.
Both times in the mid 36s.
There's a little slip on the inner lane, though. That one's Winter. So it looks like it has cost him some time. Howe is pulling away a little bit at the moment. Winter trying to close the gap. It's Howe at the line. Takes this one. 36.55, 37.06 for Winter. So the slip cost Winter a little bit, but they do move into second and fourth places, respectively. You see a slip like that coming down the last stretch. The 500 meters, how sort of dispiriting is that?
That's enough to give you a mild heart attack when you're on that inner lane and the other skaters on the outer lane. If you were to fall, you might run through them, but
kept the skates on the ice, which is nice. Now 2 internationals in our fourth pair. Conrad Nagy out of Hungary on the inner lane. Cornelius Kirsten from Great Britain on the outer. Kirsten competed at 2 World Cups in Calgary and Salt Lake this fall.
Neither of these skaters are strangers to the World Cup circuit. Conrad Nagy's been skating at that level for a number of years. Skaters come through 10-2 for Kirsten. Conrad Nagy 10-5. So Kirsten pulling away through the first 100 meters.
Looks like he does get a good draft there. You mentioned it. That looks like an opportunity for Kirsten as they make the turn. Kirsten looks like he has the advantage in this pair as they come down the final stretch inside 100 meters. Kirsten powering it on. Nagy trying to close the gap. It's going to be Kirsten who takes the pair with the fastest time, 35.72, 36.22 for Nagy. They go 1-2 at the moment.
Keep an eye on Conrad Nagy through the rest of the weekend. He gets better as the races get longer, so the 1,000 meter, 1,500 meter are his specialty. As we have a look at our leaderboard, Cornelius Kirsten, through 8 skaters, has the time to beat, 35.72.
Fifth pair on the inner lane, Christian Liebzeit from Manitoba, Frank Roth on the outer from Alberta. Looks like they are away cleanly.
Little bit of movement on the outer lane from Frank Roth before the gun, but the starter let it go.
And is Roth after the first 100 meters, 10.36 with the 5th fastest opening 100, 10.56 for Liebzeit in the 10th fastest. Now down the backstretch. What are the coaches saying there as they come down the backstretch, Leo?
Generally small technical advice. One keyword here or there. You don't have much time to
And it's going to be Roth coming down inside 100 meters. He has the advantage. He's going to take the pair, kicks out a little bit at the line. 36.78, 6th fastest time. Liebzeit 37.43, good enough for 9th.
36.78 is a personal best by 0.06 of a second for Frank Roth. It's a great time there for the skater from Alberta.
For a lot of the skaters, is it a personal best time, or is it a good feeling on how they skate? Is it what? I guess it depends on who's skating, essentially.
Yeah, I suppose it would. Any personal best. I'm not sure any skater would ever be upset with that. But they know which skaters aren't close to them in ability, and they would be looking to beat them.
Pair coming up, number 6 is Rob Watson from Ontario on the inner lane. Guillaume Labbé from Quebec on the outer. As they go through the first 100 meters, it's Labbé with a 10.39, 10.5 for Watson, 6th and 10th fastest openers, respectively.
As both skaters cross over on the backstretch, heading into the final corner. Looks like it's going to be a close finish as Rob Watson's gaining ground with 50 meters to go.
Both arms down. Labbé reaches that little bit more. Not much in that one. Labbé 37.02. Watson 37.14. 7th and 9th places, respectively. Moving on fast and furious here. Next pair, 7th, Cody Miller on the inner lane out of Alberta, and another Alberta skater, Max Halleck, on the outer.
Both skaters wearing identical skin suits. Keep an eye on those armbands. The armband on their right upper arm indicates which lane they start in. Miller in the white, Max Halleck in the red.
Miller's 23 years old. Halleck is 18. It's a clean start. Halleck pouring. Sorry, that's Miller. The first early strides. Good opening 100 for him from the looks of things, Leo.
Absolutely. 10-1. Very quick opener for a young skater. He's going to try and maintain that speed through the first corner. In the 500 meter, the first 200 meters are used to build speed. After that, the skaters try to hang on for the rest of the lap.
Little slip there on the inner lane. Halleck is struggling a little bit, pouring on. There's Miller with a little bit of a wobble there. Let's see if that cost him at the line. 36.92 7th. Halleck 37.28. Good enough for 12th. So you see looks like they both had a little bit of trouble coming down the home stretch there, finishing it off.
No surprise there, as both skaters went faster than they ever have before. Cody Miller with a 36 smashed the 37 barrier, so big personal best for him. As we move on now to our next pair, this is Adrian Hanigan in the inner lane and Jonah Utsubiz in the outer. Hanigan from Alberta, Utsubiz from Ontario.
Amazing that it's sort of going back to that last pair, Leo. They both sort of had obvious things that they will say post-race. I could have done better there, but it's a personal best. So in a way, I guess, would it be, they know they had little things, but still went faster than they ever have before.
Absolutely, and part of those little things and those little slip-ups may have been because they've gone faster than they ever have before. A little bit of extra speed means, you have to figure out different weight distribution, more G-force in the corner. So room for improvement, but a great race.
And it's still a personal best. So keep an eye out for how much faster they can go. I'm sure they're saying that to themselves. If I get these last things down, see how fast I can go then.
Absolutely. And it seems as though on those little slip-ups, the skaters may have dug into the ice. So our ice technicians here at the Olympic Oval will be trying to patch those holes up so that the following skaters don't dig into them and crash themselves. So we have a slight delay here before the next pair.
You can see there's a look at the leaderboard. Cornelius Kirsten, Team GB, still in the lead, 35.72. Conrad Nagy out of Hungary, 36.21. And Antoine Roger from Quebec, 36.43. I know if it gets bad enough, they bring out their high-tech fire extinguishers to patch up the ice. Looks like they might have it out no, don't have it out there. They're just using the old trowel to get things sorted.
I believe they'll bring it out right after the trowel, or maybe not.
They did have it with them, so maybe they've already used it. Looks like we are thumbs up here. The whistle might be good to go, and so Hanigan and Urtubiz are going to step back. Does a delay like this affect people that much?
It could. The skaters, especially these young skaters, may not have had this kind of experience. With the older skaters, you generally learn to wait for your race. You can only prepare for what will happen. But as these young guys get going, their legs will have stayed still for a little bit. They may have cooled down.
And it's Hanigan on the inner lane. Looks like he's off to the faster start as we come up to the 100 meters. And he takes it 10.31 for fourth fastest opening 100. Urtubiz 10.63. So Hanigan now, you mentioned that first 200 meters being so important. Now how can he carry this speed over the last 300 rather?
The speed skaters try and skate in a very low position. We call this basic position, where the skaters skate with a 90-degree knee angle, knees over the toes. The lower the skater can stay, the more aerodynamic they are, and the more stride length they get.
And Hanigan clocks in with the 13th fastest time, 37.35. Urtubiz 37.89.
As we now move on to our ninth pair, this is Anders Johnson from BC in the inner lane, Kevin Esso from Manitoba in the outer.
I'm a fan of Esso's skin suit there. It's not like the others usually see.
like we have a clean start from both skaters through the first few meters. It is Johnson in the inner lane carving out a big lead. His opening split, 10.75, 11.59 for Isso. So Isso has some ground to make up here with half a lap remaining.
And as Johnson still pouring it on as he rounds the corner, he looks like he's comfortable in taking this pair. Less than 100 meters to go. There's a little grimace on his face as he powers to the line. Johnson takes it. 38.13, 17th fastest. Isso goes 41.06 for 18th place. And then moving right along, pair number 10 out of 34, John Hrinchuk from Manitoba. Simon Coots on the outer, also from Manitoba, so maybe a little bit of a rivalry from two Manitoba skaters. Hrinchuk, 20 years old. Coots, 22.
John Hrinchuk still trains out of Winnipeg. Simon Coots now training here in Calgary at the Olympic Oval.
This one is off to a clean start. Actually, no, as I said, the whistle goes. We do have a false start. So anyone watching Leo for the first time, false starts. How many do you get?
One false start for the pair. So both skaters now have a warning. The next false start will result in a disqualification. The starter has the white flag up. That means that John Hrinchuk moved off the line too early.
But in the end, I guess it really doesn't matter if they both get the warning.
It really doesn't.
And so now, in a sprint race like this where the opening 100 is so important, how much does a false start throw a wrench into the machine here a little bit in terms of how they get off the line?
These skaters will definitely be thinking about it. It's going to be in their heads. They may miss a few hundredths of a second right off the gun just to be safe, make sure they don't get disqualified. Nothing worse than traveling all the way here and then getting DQ'd in your race. As they line up again, ready to go. The rule is that the skaters must be still on the line. And so if the skater is moving around a lot, the starter can call a false start even if they haven't jumped the gun.
This time they did get away cleanly. It's Hrinchuk with the fastest time. He false started early, just a moment ago, but he still gets off the line well. 10.39 through the first 100 meters. 10.73 for Coots.
So Coots coming around that outer lane gets to chase his partner down the backstretch. It can always be a slight psychological advantage to see that skater in front of you.
And this one is going to be close. Coots is pouring it on. Looks like he's taking a little bit of a lead. As they come to the line, it's going to be close. 37.74. Hrinchuk hangs on just by the width of his blade near the length of his blade. Coots 37.76, 15th and 16th. So very close pair from two Manitoba skaters.
Very close race. John Hrinchuk just missing his personal best by 1/100th of a second. Simon Coots skates a personal best in that last one. So excellent race from both Manitoba skaters.
Next up, Max Brandt from Ontario on the inner lane. Josh White from New Zealand on the outer.
The Kiwis in recent years have been producing some great long track speed skaters. Amazing for a country with very little natural ice. Often skaters in New Zealand come from inline speed skating.
And it's going to be Brandt taking the first 100 meters, 10.4, and 11th fastest time. White, 11.04. And it looks like, so fill this in, White has the one arm down in a sprint, not two. Is he maybe getting ready for other races?
Perhaps. As the races get longer, skaters will often keep one or both arms on their back in order to save energy. Some skaters find that if they keep one arm on the back, it helps relax their body, which may actually make them faster.
It was actually a pretty close race in the end. Brandt 37.67.
Max Brandt with a 37.67 skates a personal best. His previous best time was a 37.77.
That's a whole second. How often does that happen when you take a whole second out of a PB?
It's a tenth of a second.
Usually in a race of tenths of. Oh, sorry, it was 37.67. My mistake. I thought it was 36. Anyway, let's move on to the next race. Alexander Horst from Saskatchewan. Thomas Van Dijk from Alberta. Clean start.
These two skaters off to the first 100 meters. Notice their strides progressively getting longer through the first 100. First few strides should be quick and choppy to get up to speed, and then as you speed up, skaters should extend it out.
Van Dijk 10.68, Horst 11.37. It's like a clean crossover on the back stretch. They come down within 200 meters.
Van Dijk went over the top of his pair. Skater from the outer lane passing this pair on the backstretch.
As they come to the line, this one is going to be Thomas Van Dijk taking it 37.86, Horst 37.93. That's 18th and 23rd fastest times, respectively.
Personal best for Thomas Van Dijk. Great race from both skaters. As we move on to our next pair, this is Matthew Laxton from Ontario, the white armband in the inner lane. Jack Dybert from Alberta with the red armband.
A couple of teenagers. Laxton 19, Dybert 17. Very close, looks like it's within a tenth of a second personal best. So hopefully a good one shaping up here with two evenly matched skaters. Looks like there might have been a little movement, but it is a clean start. And there is Dybert and Laxton coming up to take the first 100 meters. And it's Laxton 10.6, Dybert 10.89.
So close opener, but Dybert on the inner lane pulling away. Matt Laxton has a little bit of work to do to catch up. As they charge into that back corner.
Let's see if he can make up the stagger coming in within 100 meters. It is still Laxton leading. Dybert's not far off, but it is going to be Laxton taking it. A little wobble at the line there, but Laxton 37.86, 38.42 for Dybert.
Personal best for Matthew Laxton, just breaking his previous time by 0.04 of a second.
Another Manitoba skater coming up. Garrett Gledhill kicking off the 14th pair on the inner lane. Gibson Himbo on the outer lane from Ontario, 20 and 19 years old.
So both skaters wearing the brand new Olympic oval skin suits.
Hearing rave reviews so far. They are away cleanly.
Gibson Himbo, a former short track skater. He had a big concussion close to a year ago, only just getting back into the sport, moving over to long track now. A little bit safer. As they move into the final corner, it's a close race with 100 meters to go. It looks like it's Gledhill who will lead the way. His final time, 38.30. 38.3 for Himbo. So Himbo gaining ground in the last 100. And they tie at the line.
So that would be tied 10th of a second, 100th of a second. Would there be a photo finish at this stage?
They do have the ability here at the Oval to go down to the 1,000th of a second. Looks like Gledhill got it by 1,000th of a second in that race.
There you go. Bragging rights by that much. Next up, another one upcoming has Kaleb Muller from Alberta taking on Oliver Scharf from Ontario. Both skaters away cleanly. Another race with a couple teenagers. Muller 19, Scharf 18. Very close opening 100 meters. 10.47, 10.62. Muller has that one by just a little bit.
As they cross over in the backstretch. Long track speed skating, the skaters race one corner in the inner lane, one corner in the outer lane for each lap. That means on the backstretch they must exchange lanes.
They're coming up to the line. Muller takes this one, 37.52. That's 15th fastest. 38.48, 27th fastest for Oliver Scharf. almost halfway through these 500-meter men's pairs. Canada Cup number 2 here in Calgary. Tyler Hartleb taking on Thomas Moline. Moline out of France.
So Thomas Moline, skater from France, has been training at the Olympic Oval for 2 years, former short track skater.
This one is a clean start. Looks like a very close opening 100 meters. It looks like Hartleb is going to pull away just a little bit as they start to round the corner. 10:88, Moline 11:23.
Thomas Moline, he is a long distance skater, so expect him to gain ground throughout the rest of this race. The opening 100 meters is not his specialty.
There you go. Look at that. He has looked like he's pulled away just a little bit coming along the inner lane. Hartleb on the outer. Moline powering to the line. This one is still going to be close, and it's Moline taking it. 38.84, 38.94 for Hartleb. Very close pair. Now, you just mentioned he's better in the faster distances. How many athletes sort of skate distances that aren't their forte to sort of get warmed up for a better one?
The long distance skaters will very often do a sprint race as a warm-up earlier on in the competition. The sprinters will very rarely do long distance races.
Well, I remember Christine Nesbitt, always good in the 1500, but she would do a 500 to get warm, and she always sort of said that was the way she got going. And
that's when I skated, I was a long distance skater, and I would race the 500 meter very beginning of the weekend. And rather than do a quick warm-up in practice, I would use the race as my practice.
On the track now, Eric Orlovsky and Sarah Pollock. Eric Orlovsky out of BC, Pollock out of Alberta, within 0.3 of a second of each other through the opening 100 meters. That's Orlovsky with the lead, but Pollock on the inner.
Orlovsky chasing a personal best of 38.32.
Looks like Pollock is pulling away just a little bit. It is going to be close. At the line, 38.68. Pollock takes it 38.79 for Orlovsky.
It's a close race between those two young skaters. Pollock looked happy with that, pumping his fist down the backstretch. As we move on to our next pair, this is Hunter Hewlett from Manitoba in the inner lane, Paul Coderre from Alberta in the outer.
So that's always a good thing, you know when someone's had a good performance in this sport, because immediately there's a fist pump or something.
Usually there's a smile on the coach's face too.
Very close opening 100 meters between these two. 10.74, 10.65. Coderre just a little bit ahead.
As they move on to the backstretch, see their coaches yelling at them as they pass. Into the final corner.
See what Coderre can do with that inner lane. Little slipped. Looks like he's gone out wide.
Wow, Paul Coderre just managing to stay on his feet and avoid a disaster. But his race is over as Hunter Hewlett comes across the line. 38.54. Coderre 40.07. He'll be disappointed in that one.
Now up on the track, Antoine Gagnon-Lamarche on the inner lane from Quebec, and Marc-André Doyon from Saskatchewan. Looks like there's a little bit of a pause here as we get things righted. Now they line up ready to go.
Referees gave the thumbs up. The ice is safe. So it looks like these two skaters are about to get off the line.
It is a clean start for both of them.
Two very young skaters, both skaters skating in their respective provinces.
They come up first 100 meters, 10.34 for Gagnon-Lamarche. Doyon, 10.75. It's quite a, look at that, fifth fastest opening 100 from Lamarche.
Un temps d'ouverture très vite pour Antoine Gagnon-Lamarche.
It's going to be Gagnon-Lamarche coming up to take this one. It's an impressive first 100 meters up there amongst the fastest as he comes to the line. 7th fastest time, 36.8, 39.07 for Dionne.
Excellent, excellent temps pour Antoine Gagnon-Lamarche. C'est son premier course en dessous de 37. It's a very quick time for Antoine Gagnon-Lamarche, breaking the 37 barrier. Great race. And that's good for 7th on the leaderboard.
Do they usually, for these, a lot of them, are they the younger skaters down at the bottom end of the stretch coming up here?
In the Canada Cup competitions, they race from fastest to slowest.
So for a time like that from Gagnon-Lamarche to move right up there, it certainly says something about the kind of day he's had, I suppose.
Leaps and bounds. He's moving up the ladder.
Couple of Alberta skaters now on the track. Mark Golden on the inner lane, Dawson OBrien on the outer, and it's O'Brien who goes fastest through the opening 100 meters, 10.76. Golden 10.94.
The crossover in the backstretch. O'Brien getting a little bit of a draft on that backstretch.
How do you feel it when you feel? Do you feel sort of dragged along? Like, no one's cycling. You feel sort of you're being pulled along a little bit. Do you feel it here?
Absolutely. They've done some testing, and it's anywhere within about 15 meters gives a draft effect. So
it looks like we have another tie. So maybe it did 38.97 for both skaters. We'll wait to see if they go down to the 1,000th on that one.
That's a personal best for Dawson OBrien in that last race. So great race for him.
Now, pair 21 out of 34. So we are in the second half of these. Kaleb Hovey from Ontario, Hubert Marcotte out of Quebec. And for some of these young skaters who might skate outdoors somewhere, skating in a facility like this for the first time, or maybe, well, does it ever really get old to skate in a facility like this?
It never gets old. The ice here at the Olympic Oval is world class, and it's always a great opportunity for these skaters to come here to the fast ice and skate good times, particularly for those who train outdoors. And Hubert Marcotte from Quebec would train outdoors at the Anneau Gaétan Boucher in Quebec City.
And it is Marcotte 10.58, first fastest opening 100 of the pair. Hovey 11.24.
Marcotte going over the top of his pair on the backstretch. So great opening 200 from Hubert Marcotte.
Less than 100 meters to go. Marcotte trying to pour it on, going to the line. Marcotte is going to take the pair.
Son temps final 37.61, 37.61 for Hubert Marcotte. Kaleb Hovey 39.95. So often these skaters who skate outdoors will often skate personal bests here when they race at the Olympic Oval. So you often see them, they only race here a few times a year, so they may improve, but it's only once they get here that they get those personal bests. So you often see big jumps.
22nd pair of the day. Oliver Lindenskov from Denmark taking on Joshua Hathaway out of Alberta. Clean start, and looks like Lindenskov has the opening few inches of lead as we come up to take the 100 meters at the belt, and actually Hathaway comes back to take it. 11.07 for Hathaway. Lindenskov 11.32.
Josh Hathaway chasing a 39.56 personal best.
And he has the inner lane coming up. Looks like he's going to pull away here from Lindenskov as they come down the stretch.
500 meter is such a short race. Every stride counts.
Hathaway comes up 39.46, 39.2, pardon me, for Hathaway, 39.46 for Lindenskov.
It's a personal best for Josh Hathaway. Good work from him in that last race as we move on to the next pair. Zachary Lacroix from Alberta in the inner. Noah Bauma from Ontario in the outer.
They're wearing those matching oval skin suits you mentioned earlier.
Looking sharp.
Clean start for both of them. Little stumble there on the outer lane. Coming up to the 100, get the bell. Opening time for both of them. Let's have a look. 11:09 for Boma, 11:1 for Lacroix. So very, very close opening 100 meters.
Zachary Lacroix, the son of Canadian national team coach
Marcel
Lacroix.
So we come down to the finish. It's going to be a close pair. Coming in over the outer, Zachary Lacroix, 39.64. Noah Boma, 39.76. Pretty close pair, all told.
Moving on now to our 24th pair. This is Matej Peterson from Alberta. He's racing Rob Cunning, also from Alberta.
A lot of these guys from the same province. How often would they come up against each other in a year?
Fairly often. Here at the Olympic Oval, if they're from Alberta, generally they're going to be racing people from all over because everyone flocks to the Oval to race. But I'm sure these two have raced each other before to come through first 100 meters. Matej Peterson leading the way, 10.83. Cunning, 11.12. So Peterson, a short track skater, making the crossover for this competition.
And it is going to be Peterson pulling away down the stretch. Cunning trying to chase him down. And it's Peterson will reach at the line, 38.25. Cunning clocks in 41.43, so 26th and 48th places respectively.
That was a huge time from Matej Peterson. 1 second personal best.
Now there you go, in a race like the 500 meters, when it's tenths and hundredths of a second, to knock a whole second off, he's feeling good as he's warming down, I'm assuming.
It's fairly rare that that happens. As we move on to our next pair, la prochaine paire, deux athlètes du Québec, William Soyer et Antoine Parent. Premier 100 mètres. C'est Soyer qui mène, 10.38 son temps d'ouverture, 11 secondes pour Antoine Parent.
9e temps pour Soyer après le premier 100 mètres.
Et dans le dernier virage, c'est Soyer qui mène. 50 mètres à faire. Son temps final, 37-34 pour William Soyer. Antoine Parent, 40. Oh. Great race there for William Soyer.
39.16 was his previous PB. On the inner lane, next pair, Kieran Hansen and Brad Height from Saskatchewan on the outer pair, 26. Moving right along here.
500 meter is the shortest distance in long track speed skating.
Coming up to get the bell, 100 meters in, and it's Height with the early advantage, 11.07, 11.3 for Kieran Hansen. Height, we'll see if he gets any bit of draft. Doesn't look like there's much on it as they come inside. 200 meters to go. Height and Hansen. Looks like this one could be close, closing it up. Hansen a little bit of a gap down to the end. Height trying to hang on at the line. 40.31 for, actually, pardon me, 39.77 for Hansen. Height, 40.31.
So 2 personal bests for both skaters in that race, narrowly beating their previous marks.
Looks like they were both happy there, gave each other a high five as they went around.
It's one of the great things about speed skating is the athletes generally support each other. After the race, they always give high fives, good jobs. They'll often shake hands before wishing each other good luck.
Now up on the track, Matthew Scutchings out of Saskatchewan and Max Crabben out of Alberta.
Clean start for both skaters. Max Crabben in the outer lane, leading the way. His opening split. 11.33, 11.42 for Scutchings as they move into the backstretch. Crossing over, it looks like Krabben getting a little bit of a draft, chasing his partner down that stretch into the final corner. Final corner in the 500 meter is always a tough one to navigate. Skaters will be at top speed trying to hold those tight corners, as Krabben will finish up with the lead. 40.70 his final time. 41.7 for Skutchings.
We've already seen the speed wobble coming down a few times on that last turn, and trying to sustain that speed, I guess, is maybe the biggest challenge in this race.
Absolutely. And as we get down here in the pairs, we've had 27 pairs. The ice will start to get a little bit chewed up on those corners.
Up next is Nicolas Gauthier out of British Columbia and Cedric Brunet from Quebec. And it's Brunet looking like he's taking the early advantage at the 100 meters. Good opening for him. 10.68, 11.57 for Gauthier.
It's a great opening split for Cedric Brunet. He will go over the top of his pair. Très vite pour Cédric Brunet. Il chasse un temps personnel de 37.77. See if he can do it here.
Inside 50 meters to go. Brunet coming to the line. 38.84. 42.3 for Gauthier.
My mistake. Cédric Brunet was chasing a personal best of 41 flat, so that is a nearly 3-second personal best for Cédric Brunet. Excellente course.
Coming down
du Québec.
Our final 5 pairs. Dade Minard from Saskatchewan on the inner lane. Niam Newlove from BC on the outer. As is the case, and I've noticed in a number of sports, cycling, what have you, Saskatchewan always proud to have the yellow and green, so it's easy that they stand out. You always know when you're talking to a Saskatchewan athlete. 11.25 for Newlove, Minard 11.48.
They always generally tend to exaggerate those colors as well. They always get skates with green laces or green accents.
This one could be a close one as we come down inside 100 meters, almost stride for stride, making up the inner. Newlove and Minard. Minard looking like he's pulling out a few extra inches at the line. 41.26, 41.78 for Newlove. 54th and 57th positions, respectively. Very close pair there.
So good race for both skaters as we now move on to our next pair. This is AJ Seddon from Manitoba in the inner, Caden Witkowski from Alberta in the outer.
Final 4 pairs.
So just as Saskatchewan usually has green and yellow, Manitoba usually has black, white, and yellow on their suits. Not sure why.
It's not in the flag.
Provincial flag is red.
11.46 first 100 meters for Witkowski. Seddon 11.66. So not far off. There is a wobble there, though.
So AJ Seddon finishing on the inner lane has an opportunity to catch his pair after Witkowski had a slight slip. And it's close with 100 meters to go.
Almost stride for stride. Is he going to come back to take it? Seddon 41.58. Witkowski 41.65. Pair 31. Other Manitoba skater, Randy Plett, going up against Samuel Urtubise from Ontario.
Battle of the generations here. Randy Plett, master skater from Manitoba. Samuel Urtubise from Ontario, junior.
Let's see if it's youth or experience who takes this one. It's a clean start for both of them.
So
Plett looks quite a bit more relaxed to me, longer strides, while Urtubise is off to that faster kind of leg move, and it's a very close opening 100 meters.
Absolutely. Often an interesting crossover when you get junior skaters and master skaters.
This one could be a good one. It was inside 0.05 of a second through the opening 100 meters. It's Ultebees pulling away a little bit.
And it's close to the line, but Utsubees crashes across the line. His glasses go flying, but he finished up with a time of 40:54. 40:89 for Randy Plett. So Utsubees crashing across the line. He gave it all. He had.
Be an interesting shot along the side to catch his finishing photo as he's falling over. And it looks like they are going to take another break to check on the ice after that one.
With that dramatic finish, Samuel Utsubees breaking his personal best. So leaving everything on the ice and more.
Any sort of bumps and bruises from his fall, I'm guessing, will be assuaged by the knowledge that he's gone faster than he's ever done before.
Absolutely. So we get a shot of our amazing referee here at the Olympic Oval.
He's chatting with Richard Stickle out of Fort St. John, British Columbia there, off on the side of the ice, the coach of the Elks program in the Energetic City.
As our ice crew comes over, and they will patch up that crack. Usually that bucket contains snow and slush, which they then use to fill any pockmarks in the ice.
Just checking at the leaderboard again, just a reminder, first place overall is Cornelius Kirsten out of Great Britain, 35.72. Conrad Nagy, 36.21. And Antoine Roger out of Quebec, 36.43. It is always amazing, I find, that for the highest of performance sport like this, one of the top ice surfaces, if not the top ice surface in the world, it's stuff you just go to your average home supply store, pick up, and makes these repairs like this.
Absolutely, and then they use pressurized CO2 to flash freeze the ice after they fixed it.
Would that be the fire extinguisher?
The fire extinguisher.
Pressurized CO2 is the scientific term.
So as they fix the ice, remember to stay tuned after our final two pairs throughout the rest of the day for more great racing. We've got the ladies 500 meter coming up, then the men's and ladies 1500 meter. But the real action will be at 5 p.m. Mountain Time with the Canadian Championships Olympic selection competition. A chance to watch some of the best skaters in Canada race over the 3K and 5K.
Some big names out. Obviously chasing some berths in Korea, which is just over a month away now.
Boy, that comes up fast. Seems like yesterday when everyone was over in Russia.
It is going to be nice that there will be an Olympics with snow normally, because I was in Sochi for a little bit and I arrived and it was about 20 degrees and it just felt weird to me. Saskatchewan and BC athletes are waiting their turn as they fix the ice. Another instance, a little bit of a longer delay.
If you want to see the best skaters in Canada duke it out over this 500 meter race, tune in on Friday evening for the Canadian Championships 500 meter. This competition is split into two distinct separate events, the Canada Cup competition for the developing skaters, and then the Canadian Championships competition for the top level skaters in the country.
Looks like we're good to go. Jordan Stevenson out of Saskatchewan, Dakota Rule from BC. Very tight opening 100 meters as they come up to get the bell. Clocking in very close, 11.93, 11.96. 0.03 of a second difference.
So 11.9 openers for both skaters, neck and neck as they cross over on the backstretch. Often the skaters will try to head straight for their lane. That way they don't forget to change lanes.
It happens.
It happens, particularly with the young skaters. Often skaters will do it once and never again.
Comes up to this. It's going to be a close one at the line, and it's going to be Stevenson, 42.65, rule 42.95. Well, there are famous instances where someone doesn't change a lane, like in the 10,000 meters, the Vancouver 2010 Olympics. Sven Kramer.
Absolutely. Best skater in the world making one of those rookie mistakes.
Dylan Knischke from Saskatchewan in our final pair. Ian Babelich from Ontario.
So our mistake, there will be one additional pair, a 34th pair. So our second last pair, Saskatchewan and Ontario athletes ready to duke it off on the line.
They are off cleanly. Looked like Babelich got a bit of a jump, but Knischke's right there as well. It is a close opening 100 meters. Knischke coming up to clock in with a little bit of a lead at the first 100 meters. 11.13, 11.514. Babelich.
Knischke's personal best is 3 seconds faster than Ian Babelich's. So if Babelich can keep pace, he'll be on for a good final time.
This one is looking pretty close, actually, as they come down the stretch. Babelich pulling away as they come down the line. A little bit of a wobble from Knischke. It's going to be close, and it's Babelich, I believe. 41.18, 41.22 for Knischke.
So indeed, a big personal best for Ian Babelich. 2 seconds off his previous mark.
And there is a 34th pair, not additionally on our list, but here we go. Jerome Detunk. Looks like he is by himself. A lonely man.
So Jerome Detunk will race in the inner lane on his own. Always a challenge to race on your own. No other skater to base your speed off of.
Women's 500 meter not long after this one.
As we have a look at our final leaderboard, Cornelius Kirsten with the fastest time of the morning, 35.72.
And it looks like there is no pair 34, so that is, as you mentioned, the final leaderboard.
So Kirsten, 35.72, blazing time. Right behind him, skater from Hungary, Conrad Nagy with 36.21. Antoine Roger du Québec had the third time, 36.43. So those are your top three at the wrap-up of the men's 500 meter for the Canada Cup number 2.
They're going to come out, resurface the ice. We're going to take a little bit of a break, and the women will be back out for their turn in the 500 meters. I hope you're enjoying everything so far, folks. And as I mentioned, we will be back shortly.